It's 2026. The second half of this year isn't going to be about premieres or red carpets. It's going to be about goodbyes. It feels like just yesterday we were watching Lee Jae-wook flick his fingers in Alchemy of Souls, completely owning the screen as one of the most promising leads of his generation. Now the inevitable reality check has arrived, and it's hitting hard. The conversation has shifted from who is he dating or what is his next project to a single looming date circled in red on every fan's calendar. The military issue isn't just a rumor anymore. It's the defining narrative of 2026, and the way these guys are handling it, the scramble, the goodbyes, the choices of where to serve, is telling us everything we need to know about the state of the industry right now. Let's start with the elephant in the room, Lee Jae-wook. The guy was on an absolute tear. He went from extraordinary you to death game and solidified his status as a Hallyu heavyweight with Alchemy of Souls. His popularity wasn't just climbing, it was skyrocketing internationally. But that kind of trajectory hits a wall hard when you're a Korean man born in 1998. For years, he's been dodging questions about enlistment in interviews, trying to keep the focus on the work, but recently the tone has changed. He's stopped dodging. He's looking at the army not as some distant concept, but as a concrete reality that is breathing down his neck. It's actually kind of intense to watch because he's been so open about it. Instead of hiding or trying to push the date back, which is the classic industry play, he's been practically sprinting to the finish line. He told fans he wants to work as much as humanly possible before the lockdown, and honestly, you can feel the desperation in his schedule. He's been holding fan meetings across Asia not just to promote, but to create a buffer, a bank of memories for fans to survive on while he's gone. He's got projects lined up to air right before he enters, clearly trying to close the book on this chapter of his career without any loose ends. It's mature, sure, but there's also this underlying tension. He knows he's at the peak of his youth and his career, and he has to press pause on both of them simultaneously. Then you have Yeo Jin-goo, a name that feels like it's been a staple of Korean TV forever because, well, it basically has been. He started acting as a child, so seeing him enlist hit different. It's not just an actor going to the army. It feels like a piece of the industry's foundation is shifting. The news dropped in early January, but the groundwork was laid months before. His agency confirmed he would start training on December 15th, 2025, but here's where it gets interesting and where the fan hierarchy really shows its face. He didn't just go into the regular army. He got selected for KATUSA. For those who don't know, KATUSA stands for Korean Augmentation to the United States Army. It's a big deal. You need English proficiency, you pass a brutal selection process, and the spots are limited. Serving in KATUSA is often seen as a prestigious post, a bit of a softer landing compared to the hardcore active duty front lines, though it's still the military. The timing here is crucial. He began his enlistment process right after wrapping up his blank space tour, which was marking 20 years since his debut. Imagine that 2 decades of work celebrated in fan meetings, only to hand the audience a handwritten letter in Taipei saying, "I'm leaving." It's emotional whiplash. He wrote about feeling excitement and sadness in equal measure, promising to come back more mature. But the agency had to step in and ask fans to stay away from the actual enlistment ceremony, which gives you an idea of how intense the crowding situation can get. With the 18-month service timeline, he's looking at a mid-2027 discharge, but the wait is already on, and losing a veteran actor with his range for a year and a half is going to leave a hole in the casting lists that's not easy to fill. But if you want to talk about acceptance, look at Lee Jun-young. Here's a guy who has lived the dual life of an idol and an actor, debuting with UKISS and then grinding his way through supporting roles until he broke out in When Life Gives You Tangerines and Weak Hero Class 2 in 2025. He's been vocal about his plans in a way that almost feels like he's trying to psych himself up for it. In early January 2026, he just went. No massive drama, no scandalous delay tactics. He enlisted, and before he did, he was telling anyone who would listen that he didn't see it as a burden. He framed it as curiosity. He actually said he's wondering how life in the army is going to change his view of the world. It's a refreshing take, honestly, especially in an industry where enlistment is usually treated like a tragic illness or a PR crisis. He balanced his schedule right up until the wire, thanking fans personally, making sure everyone knew this was a necessary interval. It sounds calm, but you know there had to be pressure. He's an idol turned actor. He knows that the public memory is short. Spending 18 months off the grid is a risk, but he's walking into it with his head high, looking at it as a growth experience. It's hard not to respect that, even if you're frustrated that we won't see him on screen for a while. However, the one that really made people stop and do a double take is Lee Jung-ha. If you've seen seen moving, you know exactly why people are upset about this one. He was poised to be the next big thing, a genuine leading man material with a face that belongs on movie posters. But the announcement regarding his enlistment came with a twist that shook up production schedules. His agency, Namu Actors, dropped the news that he wouldn't be doing standard service. He's going into the Marine Corps. Let that sink in for a second. The Marines. In South Korea, the Marines are notoriously the most demanding, physically grueling branch of the military. You don't pick the Marines for an easy time. You pick them if you want to prove something, or if you just have that level of grit. He's scheduled to enter the training center on January 26, 2026, and he won't be back until July 25, 2027. That is a long time. But the controversy here isn't just about the hard service, it's the collateral damage. He was supposed to be in the Disney Plus sequel Moving 2. That's not just some random gig. That's a massive, high-budget follow-up to one of the biggest hits of the previous few years. And now, reports are saying his participation is likely canceled. Fans are stuck in this weird limbo of being proud of him for choosing a tough service path, but absolutely gutted that the sequel is losing one of its key pillars. It's a brutal reminder that the military waits for no production schedule. He is currently filming UDT, a coup play with Genie TV, which is likely the last time we'll see him for a while. It feels like he's sprinting through the finish line of his current career phase before hitting the reset button in the mud. The ripple effect of all these enlistments happening in such a tight window, Lee Jae-wook, Yeo Jin-goo, Lee Jun-young, and Lee Jung-ha, is something the industry is going to be feeling for a long time. It's not just four guys going to do their duty, it's a vacuum. When you look at the projects they were involved in, the fan meetings they held, and the honest, sometimes exhausted way they talked about inevitable duty, you realize that 2026 is going to be a year of transition. We're watching the 97 line and 98 line stars clear the board. The irony is painful. They are finally reaching the height of their powers, gaining international acclaim and solidifying their brands, just as the country says, okay, pause now. There's a sense of fatigue in the air. Fans are tired of goodbyes, agencies are tired of reshuffling lineups, and the actors themselves seem to be in a place of acceptance, tinged with a bit of anxiety about what the world will look like when they get back. What's particularly striking is the difference in how each is approaching this fade to black. Lee Jae-wook is creating a content stockpile. Yeo Jin-goo is leveraging his prestige for a specialized post. Lee Jun-young is treating it like a philosophical retreat, and Lee Jung-ha is practically diving into the deep end with the Marines. They're all following the same law, but their paths are worlds apart. And let's not ignore the business side of it. Moving 2, potentially losing Lee Jung-ha, is a blow to the show's momentum. Lee Jae-wook's absence means the international Hallyu wave loses one of its strongest surfers for 18 months. Producers are scrambling right now, trying to figure out who the hell is left to cast in the big romance dramas and action blockbusters for the latter half of 2026. It's a reshuffling of the deck that happens every few years, but it never stops being jarring.